Up at the Capitol in Hartford. It's the beginning of the middle, as we like to say. Just within the week, our standing committees have been meeting their deadlines and reporting bills out to the floor. And it takes about 2 weeks after the vote for them to go through the process. So by the end of this month, the pace will be picking up, and I go from my dealing with issues and dealing with policy and kind of having the fun part of politics into the more administrative as we begin to schedule stuff for a vote in the House. This middle process goes on. April 20th is the end of the committee process when appropriations will vote out a budget. And I say that on purpose because it does have impact on the City of Danbury and the City of Danbury budgeting process. I've seen reports lately that the mayor, for whatever reason, has decided to start the whole process earlier. Whatever. Because the finance directors need it. But he's using the governor's proposed numbers. I actually had a discussion with Senator Cappiello about this at the end of last week. He used the word irresponsible. I used the word folly. I just think mine is just shorter and a little bit more descriptive, but I think we're both on the same page. What a mistake. Because there's a bunch of things going on. Number one, her figures are very, very positive. The City of Danbury would make out in millions for public schools. But there's cuts in other places we don't like, including in public schools. She took a bunch of little grants for things like adult education, for alternative education, for school transportation, all of those kind of things, and lumped them all together in ECS. So it's kind of give-take. She did add a lot more. And then I think some people have forgotten the purpose behind it. It's the purpose I actually have been preaching now for over a decade, in that the state should be providing more of public school funding using our very varied mix of revenue sources so that the property tax could go down. But unfortunately, there are those mayors and first selectmen and boards of education and finance boards who think, oh, we're getting more money on top of what the property tax is already giving us. That's not what she has in mind. It's not what we have in mind. Even those of us who like her numbers on ECS are saying, but whatever bill we've got to pass has got to cap property taxes. So using her numbers prematurely has got a double whammy, because if we turn around after the City of Danbury has adopted a budget and said, no, you can't raise your property taxes this year, the city's going to be even in more trouble. I would advise the local policymakers to wait at least until April 20th, when the legislature will be voting out its budget. Yes, I would love to do it sooner. And I know I've seen those opinion leaders who have suggested you need to make a decision in a hurry. We've learned what hurrying does in decision making a year ago yesterday with the aborted nomination for Supreme Court Justice that has collapsed, rightfully so. And number two, there's a very practical reason why we don't vote out a budget until April. I've said it here before, but I'm going to repeat it because it's important. We wait until the money comes in on April 15th. That's all of last year's income tax, and not speculative, what actual amount of money is coming in. Plus, for those of you in retail, it's also when we will know what the first quarter sales taxes are going to be. So we both have real dollar numbers, not pretend, made up, extrapolated, speculative, prognostication, a little magic here, a little magic there, but real numbers. And then we can, and certainly even then, our whatever forecasting we have to do, because we're doing a 2-year budget, remember, is based on fact, not on fiction, opinion, or guesses. So I'm not in a hurry to hurry, and I would rather use real numbers rather than pretend numbers, and I would certainly counsel people in the city of Danbury not to rush to adopt a budget when there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down, not on just Danbury, but on all 169 communities around this state, saying whoa. There are other huge systemic problems in her budget, dealing with most of the social services that are near and dear to our hearts, whether it's for kids, whether it's for working families, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for first job getters, whether it's for students, all of those things that they're just huge holes that we've been finding as we've moved over the budget. And we have a public hearing process. We do actually wait until and find out what the public has to say, because at least to us, that's important. We don't rubber stamp hers. We don't even rubber stamp our own proposals. The public hearings do make a difference.